Hey everyone, I'm Kareem Williams,
And I'm Gabby.
and we're here to talk about our marriage journey. We've gotten questions before about, what marriage looks like for us and how did we meet and, what does it take for a marriage to work. And people have actually come up to us before, young people especially. So we're hoping that this video will help and inspire people on their marriage journey, or even for those who are thinking about getting married. That these things that we talk about and discuss on this video would be helpful.
Yep, so let's get started.
All right. So, question number one: what qualities did we look for in each other when we were deciding that we wanted to get married? So, like, I guess, what qualities in boyfriend or girlfriend?
So my number one was just be funny. Make me laugh all the time. You feel me? Looking back, or from what I know now and what I value now of being like best friends or good friends before anything else, I think maybe humor allowed that, or that was my interpretation of being good friends, was having humor, having jokes between us, like being able to laugh, being comfortable. So yeah.
That's nice. I like that. For me, I guess I was more thinking about on the spiritual side.
Mm-hmm.
That was definitely one of the things that I wanted somebody who had a relationship with the Lord. Of course, somebody that was respectful, somebody sincere. I mean, I think you know by now, but like sincerity for me was and still is so important, because there are a lot of people who are in relationships with other people who are not sincere, and I know I didn't want that for me. So that was something that was really important for me, that the person I chose would be sincere. Trying to think if there was anything else, but definitely the spiritual, being sincere.
Right.
Someone definitely to love me just for me,
Right.
who I am, and that we would be compatible. And now that I think about that, I think we would definitely have to do another video about. I know people will probably have questions about compatibility,
Right.
and how that plays a role.
Right.
Okay. Next question. Is marriage what you thought it would be?
Honestly, all right, different stages. So like when we first got married, it just seemed so effortless. I was like, oh, this is cool. I'm with my best friend. But then as time goes on, as you have more, or as we develop more experience with each other, have gone through highs and lows. I think it's different than what I expected. I'm not even really sure what I expected. It's like, because now, like, if I were to give advice to someone, I'd be like, oh, like, think about what you want your marriage to look like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, bruh, I didn't really even do that. I just knew that in our society and our culture, that was the next step to a relationship with marriage.
Mm.
So I've kind of been going with the flow, so that's why it's hard to answer the question if it's what I expected, because I don't think I had many expectations, except for, like, again, respect, being able to take care of the household, stuff like that.
So something you said was interesting, about knowing that I think you said in our society marriage was just the next step.
Right.
And I think that can create a lot of discussion too, because maybe not everyone feels that's their path, as far as marriage being the next step for me after school, or marriage being the next step for me before school, or after I get a good job, or before I get a good job. Maybe not everyone, even though I agree with you, society definitely pushes that.
Right.
But I'm wondering what is the experience for other people who don't go that route? And that definitely raises some questions or places of interest to explore and see other people's experience, other people's lifestyles. So yeah, for me, as far as is marriage what I thought it would be, it is definitely a little bit of both, give and take. And what I mean by that is some of it is what I thought it would be, and some of it I'm still growing into, or it's not what I thought it would be. Like for instance, like you mentioned when we first got married, it seemed so effortless. And definitely, I would have to agree, it definitely felt effortless those first couple of years. Like, I guess that's what people would say that's the honeymoon stage, But to me, even though that was our experience, I'm sure there are people out there that in the first couple of years weren't effortless.
Right.
They probably were the hardest years starting out. So I just think maybe that's where we're different or unique in that sense. Because we were still, it's funny, even though we probably didn't know it at the time, or maybe we did, but we were still learning each other.
Right.
We were still learning each other.
But learning ourselves.
Yep. I definitely agree with that. But even though we were still learning each other and learning ourselves, it still felt effortless as far as the marriage part.
Right.
So, as opposed to now, to me, it's like with kids, things have drastically changed.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So every stage or every step that you take is going to be different. So while you were talking, I was thinking about how the answer to your question in the beginning, it was effortless. But then what I didn't expect out of marriage was how it illuminated my own flaws.
Mm-hmm.
How selfish I am, or human beings we can be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I thought I was good.
But we thought.
Right. But then I got to know myself a little bit more intimately, you feel me? So that was something unexpected. Another thing that was unexpected was gender roles. I think in theory I understood, but I'm a firstborn. I don't listen to nobody. I don't listen to nobody, but I'm like, alright, if you're not my parent or like some superior, then I ain't really listening to you, right? Or I'll figure it out myself, like I don't need help, or whatever. And so here comes somebody talking about he the head of the household, and I'm like, in theory, yes. Before God, yes. But not over my life.
Show me how that works. Let's talk about that.
So it was, I think, it's still something I struggle with, but but it's something that I'm definitely working on, and I think the issue is just being able to give full trust and full vulnerability, which is hard to do, in my opinion. And so 7 years in, and I'm still learning. So.
Actually, we were talking about it the other night. It's actually about to be 8 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, no, but to your point, just to be fair, I think when you're talking about being, as a wife, being able to trust fully, be vulnerable fully, and allow me to lead as head of household. One of the things that I'm still learning that I took from that as we were talking about it together, excuse me, is still allowing you, how can I put it? Like for me, it's like, I still want you to be you, but how do I let you know that? You see what I mean? Because like, we've had, discussions before, we've had heated discussions before about you not feeling like you could be you.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I'm thinking to myself, well, I want you to be you, so how do I show you that? So that's something that has definitely been a struggle for me that I'm still growing and learning out of. That it's like, yeah, head of household doesn't mean you can't be you as a wife.
Right.
You know, if
right.
you have a husband that's head of household,
Right.
that doesn't mean the wife can't be herself.
Right.
That's exactly not what it means.
I think it's because I think one person can occupy space, so it can't be like so many chefs in the kitchen, blah blah blah. And then if there is a conflict between us, right, as far as opposing opinions, who's gonna win? Or which decision are we gonna go with? Right, it's gonna be yours.
Right,
so I'm gonna
right.
feel like. So I definitely feel like, oh well, my voice is not being heard, or I just have to agree to everything.
Right.
But
I got you.
We're definitely learning.
Yeah. Because even in that example you just used, I mean, I hope that I've shown, or at least hope that I've shown improvement that it's not just my opinion. That yes, I listen to your opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I value your input. And there are times where I said, no, boo, that's what you want to do. Let's do it that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I said, as far as the question is concerned, is it what we thought it would be? I'm learning that it takes more balance. Balance is huge. Like,
ain't no such thing.
but that's what it takes. You know, like balance from me, balance from you, and now we come together and balance. Because if not, then that's when you have those power struggles.
Right.
And you think it's because, oh, somebody's head of household or somebody's not being heard. Really, it's not that. It's like finding the balance with each other. Person, like you said, you're firstborn, I'm firstborn. So that does have a part to play as far as power struggle.
Right.
Because we're used to being the dominant ones in our household.
Yeah. And I
So.
think what's helped is making sure to share things on neutral ground. So
safe space.
yeah, safe
Mhm.
spaces.
Mhm.
And be saying, all right, I'm going to say something that's going to be different from what you think, or you know, this is really important to me, or whatever, to set the tone for, okay, our opinions are going to be different, but safe space, neutral ground where we can share
Right.
and kind of enlist why our opinion is
Mm-hmm.
not better, but you know, why this point of view has more benefits, or you know, or whatever. So that's definitely helped in repeating it over and over again.
And can I be honest though? I think this year, 2020, we have definitely done that a whole lot better.
Budget meetings, guys. Oh,
And maybe we
Much
definitely
better.
we definitely gonna have to do a video
much
about that.
better.
Budget meetings.
Yeah.
But no, what you said about having a safe space and being able to set the tone as to where this opinion is coming from, why we feel the way we do,
Yeah.
and being able to express it freely, knowing that the other person is listening
Right.
attentively,
Right.
and it's like, wow, okay, let's sit back and settle in this and see, like, okay, now that I know your point of view and where
Right.
you're coming from and why you're saying what you're saying, how can we face this together?
Yeah.
So definitely, I say all that to say this year, we have definitely done 100% better on that. And that has made us grow. That has definitely made us grow. So
Because just earlier, I need to vent. Boom. So you know, don't be responding. Don't be trying to trigger.
I need to vent me. Be quiet for a minute.
Exactly, and just say, "Yes, girl, that happened to you. Yes, that's what you're supposed to do." But when like when you're doing it, passing or while cooking, and I guess you're bothered, the other person's bothered by other stuff, or they got other stuff on their mind or whatever, and they start responding, and then you're like, "But ain't nobody asking you to respond though. I just need you to listen." So setting the stage, and it does seem, I think, hearing someone give advice like that, I'd be like, that's so cheesy. Like, just say what you have to say and just do it. Like, let it be spontaneous. But in order to save your marriage,
Right.
to have a good rest of the day, to be able to talk to each other later in the day, set the tones like I have to vent, even if it's towards each other or about other stuff, other external factors. It's very like it's setting the stage. Be saving us some time, precious time and moments.
That's all right. But yeah, you're right. You're right. Definitely. That's funny. We kind of got into this just now about is marriage what we thought it would be? But the next question is how have we changed? How have we changed? And I think, like I just said, this year I think we did way better in that department. But as far as anything else, how we changed, I would say the big thing for me is children. Definitely children.
What does that mean?
Because before, when I come home from work, it's just me and you. And my energy, whatever I had left of it, would be me and you.
Yeah.
And, as far as emotionally, physically, mentally, all those things, spending time with each other,
Right.
it would just be you. But since we've had children, now it's like I come home from work and now all those things have to be divided up between 3 people. So for me, that has been a drastic thing where, for example, working on my patience with the children as far as it's different when I'm tired. Of course, if I have a good night's rest, I'm awake, whatever, I'm fresh, that's not an issue. But coming home from work is completely different. So I think, and it's shown me, like you said, it's shown me about myself. Like, man, these are some things I need to work on because, they're just kids. They don't know any better for now. We're just teaching them. So I can't spend all this energy and all this time at work and then come home and my family doesn't get the best me. So that has definitely been one of the things that's changed about me as opposed to before when it was just me and you.
Yeah.
So what about for you? What do you think has changed about you?
I am understanding the power in vulnerability. I'm still allowing myself to be vulnerable and not guarded. Still a struggle. I've been more accepting of me, including my flaws, and be like, this is just me, point blank, period. Ain't nothing I gotta add to it, no value, or this is just one. Ippy. For our marriage, how we've changed. I think we're more accepting of each other and our flaws, triggers, being mindful of those triggers. Still a work in progress. We are changing. We are
Right,
not changed,
right.
but we are
Like
changing.
we said the other day, we're seeing the progress.
Right, for sure. Yeah.
All right, cool. So, family, we're gonna end there for today. Hope this has been helpful. Again, this is just our marriage journey. Things that we've noticed about ourselves, questions people have asked us, and again, we're hoping that these videos would help young people who are thinking about marriage, boyfriend, girlfriend, people that are already married, that it will help them, young, old, whoever. Because when you're talking about a life partner, someone you're spending the rest of your life with, there's always something to learn. That's another thing that we've realized in these 7 going on 8 years, that there is always something to learn about relationships, about each other, and most importantly, about yourself. All right, so we're going to say bye for now.
Holla.
Love you guys.